I've got a very clear trigger today that's going to tell us when to go long. This is the daily entry. I'm bringing you day trading setups on things like Nasdaq, Dow, oil, gold, and of course, BTC. Let's go. Now, yesterday started off a little bit of a downside. We had a couple of stops hit, but then, my God, did we get some screamers by the end of the day. The Nasdaq and the Dow really delivering nicely there for us. And remember, guys, it's just about being consistent and sticking to the rules here and playing these good areas only, and you're going to come out on top. Okay, remember the rules of engagement here. We're looking for 1-to-1, 2-to-1 type trades. If you get a screamer, obviously leave a little bit running just to bank some extra profits. Don't get married to these things too long. If you're turning red and it's losing your levels, cut the thing early. There's always another zone and there's always another trade coming for you guys every single day. Okay, now, what is the big trigger that I'm watching today? What are we looking at? Well, we've got a rinse and repeat of oil. Now, yesterday, oil just really played out so beautifully. The view yesterday was short oil, long everything else, and we got that short on oil. And did we get some pumpers or what on the Dow and the Nas? So now we've got the same situation playing out on oil. We are just simply moving to our next area. Now, where's the next zone on oil? This is this 93 into 94 region. This makes the most sense for me for some kind of rejection. Why is this interesting? We've got a wick here. I've got a macro 618. I've got a beautiful VWAP coming into play here as well. And this looks like an all-round rejection area. Again, further bearish prints on our oscillator as well. And I'm looking for a pump here in oil and then a nice little drop. Now, once again, you don't necessarily have to take the oil short. This can just be your guide as to where you can long some of these other markets today. So this is going to be a big trigger for me. 93 into 94 US oil. This is WTI. Now, what does this all mean for us in terms of some trade setups? Well, take a look at this. This is our Dow we're running on the 45 minutes, and I've highlighted two major zones for me that I think are going to give us some decent moves during the course of the day. Where are we looking at longs? Well, look at this wick. We haven't taken out this wick that you see on your screen here at 51,900. You can see my alarm is on, and it just missed my entry from earlier this morning. So I am waiting patiently for this guy to drop into that zone. So 51,900 on the Dow, looking good to me. Then things get a little bit sketchy to the downside. This Dow has been so volatile and it gets bought up and sold so quickly that you see there's a lot of wicks left behind. So I do like this region down here that you see from 51,820 into this wick low 51,780. Looks okay to me, but unfortunately it is quite a broad area. So if you're going to play a zone like that, obviously just make sure your sizing is correct. Maybe you could start smaller sizing, spread it over that region there just in case. You just want to manage risk because that zone is pretty wide. Remember, we're going relatively big size here and we want to make sure that our stops are giving us the best risk reward for these trades. So just be super cautious with your sizing there, guys, on the Dow. Okay, now in terms of bigger zones lower down, there is a conviction zone lower down. I'll update in the Hackers Discord during the course of the day. Let's see if we drop down into this region 51.7 into 51.6, but that one I'm not looking at just yet. I'm looking at this battleground that you see here in front of you. Now, first short of the day could be a little spicy one, 52,286. I do like this. It's this little local 618, and we've also got quite a bearish order block sitting here. We know there's going to be a lot of sellers. 52,286 on the Dow, looking pretty good to me. I'd say, if anything, worth an alarm here for you guys. Set your alarm in that zone. If it pings, maybe look for an engagement. Look at that bearish order block you see there on your screen, okay? And then the next banger is going to be naturally the move that takes out that wick from yesterday's short. Now, we got a beautiful short up there. It swept the 618, and now I'm expecting the same action again if they come in today. So look for shorts. 52,480 looks pretty good to me on this capital.com chart on the Dow. Okay, and remember, the higher conviction trades, you can actually set a couple of limit orders. I'm running this one on UBIT here at the moment. That competition is now finished and we are now onto a clean slate. We're going to load another competition coming around the corner for you guys, so just keep watch. But right now, these are the zones I'm looking at on the Dow on my UBIT chart, and I've got a short order for one lot, 52,514, and then I've got a couple of longs waiting here for me, 51,944 and 51,840. For now, going to monitor as we go, but these are typically my trades that I'm looking for today. And then this blue line you see over here, this is that sort of degen short zone. Perhaps set an alarm. That could be a nice ping for later today. So that's 52,333 that you guys are going to be watching. Now let's talk NAS. This thing's chopping around. It actually looks a little bit like BTC at the moment while it's chopping around in those zones. For me, there's two main engagement zones for today. We're looking for shorts, 29,230. We just want to sweep the highs, ping that 618, and then drop that down. So 29,230 looks good to me. Longs anywhere in this region, 28,590 into 28,500 looks pretty decent for me on the NAS. Remember, you want to try and tie this in with an oscillator that is speaking to you. You want to see it looking for a reversal if you are looking on support, or if you are pushing into resistance, you want to see a bearish reversal to the upside just to increase your odds of nailing that trade. Obviously, it doesn't always have to be like that. We can get sharp reactions, but if you want to start limiting your risk and start weighing the odds in your favor, just look for things like that on these oscillators. Then guys, my banger from the last week, it still hasn't been hit. Right up here, 29,510 into 29,600. That is still my banger. There's a lot going on up there. We'll deal with it when we need to. Just keep your alarms on in that area. I think we're still going to get a short in that zone. Then last long for today, and this could be the trigger on a big oil pump. You might see the NAS drop hard today. That is where I'm looking for a long. 28,300 looks pretty decent to me. Now remember, all the charts you get here, they go into the Chart Hackers Discord for you in my TradFi section, and I drop updates during the course of the day. So you're going to find all those levels there. If levels change or things move, I'm going to update for you guys in the Chart Hackers Discord. And one more thing, if you're enjoying this content and you think this adds value, hit the like, hit the bell, hit the subscribe, but more importantly, share it with other traders that you think could use this type of alpha in their daily trading routine. Okay, let's get into our next big banger here. This is gold. I'm super excited about gold. My God. Okay, so gold gave us a hard time yesterday. It did sweep our highs a little bit too high. This was a little bit frustrating for me. Look at that. We swept the highs over there. We were looking for that short in that zone. We were technically correct, but we swept the highs and they dumped it there pretty hard. Okay, so gold now rolling over nicely. What are we looking for here? I think the first banger is going to come when we see this 2-hour oscillator start bottoming out. Okay, look at this. We want to see these types of signals at the bottom of the oscillator when we are sitting on good support. Okay, that is what we're looking for over there. And I believe there's a strong possibility that we're going to get a long here on gold. 4,060 into 4,050 looks pretty hot to me. So watch that area. I've got a VWAP 0.5, horizontals, wick fills looking good. And then if we get a drop today, I'm pretty confident, guys, that we're going to get a reaction here. 4,000 for gold. Bullish order block, 786. Wick fills. By the time it hits that zone, that 2-hour is going to be really starting to reverse. That's my banger for today on gold. I'm pretty confident in that zone. Now, let's talk about the big dog and what is going on. So BTC, yeah, playing games with us, I'd say. Also struggling a little bit to get a clean read on the altcoin market, funnily enough. And I did update that in my morning market update that you guys can read in the Chart Hackers Discord. But I did discuss some of these things. But BTC playing games with us at the moment. But typically, what are we looking for, guys? I still think we can flush these wicks to the upside. Look at this. These are untapped wicks. We've got a macro 382. So I wouldn't be surprised if they sweep us up 67 into 68k, sweep it up, and then dump this thing lower down. So in terms of my short planning, I'm still looking for that short on BTC to the upside. And in terms of higher conviction longs, look at this zone, 63,400 into 62,330. This is a banger down here. We have tons of liquidity tie in as well on BTC. So lower time frame stuff, what are we doing? How are we operating? Take a look here. I covered these levels yesterday. 65. Okay, looking for a degen scalp bounce here. You can see we are getting a reaction off the zone as we speak, and there's our oscillator starting to reverse. Remember, our oscillator prints reversal signs. It gives us clues as to when the market could reverse, provided we are on decent support. When you're on good support and you're seeing the reversals, well, then the odds start weighing in your favor that you might get a bounce. And you can see in this situation here, we are now getting a bounce on BTC. 65k is local support. When or if we drop lower down today, what do we need to look for? The next long for me today, 64. So the next degen play, 64 makes sense. And then the high conviction box that I've just spoken about on the higher time frame chart is 63 into 62.5. That looks like a banger. Remember, these local zones, you can trade these guys in these areas. Sometimes they break out and then they turn into better things, might lead to the short. Alternatively, you might find that they just chop you down and they give you these little micro bounces on these zones and then drop it into bigger areas. So scalp those zones, but the conviction plays you can see higher up and lower down for BTC, looking for that to play out. Okay, so guys, there's your daily entry for the day. Be safe. Gold, I'm actually quite excited about gold. I think that's a banger. Dow, a little bit sketchy, but geez, that thing can pump. So try and lock in a couple of good zones there on those wicks. Keep it tight. This is your daily entry. See you later.